It's a Capital Report Hour After Hours. I am Tom Dutchick. We are going to spend a little time talking about the sexual harassment plague that's going through Congress right now. But before, to set the tone, here is Democrat candidate for Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Watch this.
If the last few weeks has taught us anything, it's that we need more women in positions of power, not less. So, when you're choosing Michigan's next Attorney General, ask yourself this. Who can you trust most not to show you their penis in a professional setting? Is it the candidate who doesn't have a penis? I'd say so.
Is that a real television?
Yeah,
no,
that's
it
a real
is.
spot.
That's a real spot?
A real spot.
And she's been getting a lot of blowback for that as well.
You think so? I think they're running.
Did you really?
I'm not saying anything.
I think they're. Well, you have to say something.
Did you really say blowback?
You're just uncomfortable with that kind of stuff.
Stop giggling.
Right?
It's sexual harassment.
I mean, it is. The wave that is sweeping the country right now is unbelievable.
All right, guys. So speaking of John Conyers, Conyers, late last week, every Connecticut Democrat who's in Congress called for his resignation, with the exception of Larson, who wants due process.
Well, so
where are we on this?
Well, first of all, Conyers' resignation was only happened because Nancy Pelosi put it down and said yes, he should resign. So that's the only time they got around. They were silent up until that. They've been silent on this $15 million shush fund that was established by the entire Congress, I might add. This is not a partisan.
Like Chris Shays helped write that law.
So there's $15 million of taxpayer money illegally being funneled into this payment system controlled by who knows who. So let the chips fall where they may. There'll be a full accounting of it. And why these Democrats who get all the high ratings from NARAL and Planned Parenthood and all women's groups have been silent is just mummifying.
Jen wants to get in here.
Well, it's not a Democrat or a Republican problem.
Right.
You see, it's not a problem in D.C., it's not a problem in L.A., it's a problem everywhere. And so there has to be a complete culture change. And you see in D.C. kind of the reporting process that women had to go through even when they were feeling harassed. And there has to be a complete change to that as well. And I think that we're just, you know, and it has to trickle down as well. I mean, these are people who are high profile, so they're getting more attention, but it's people who are, you know, working blue collar, everyday jobs that are also going to have to feel like there's a change and they can come forward and have a way to really speak out and not be taking treatment that is really just so unacceptable.
I mean, I think there ought to be one standard for everybody. Either you resign or there's due process. But this pick and choose who gets to do what, I think, is the problem. There should be one standard for everybody.
The people that are sitting in judges within these cultures of business, finance, entertainment have their own actions to account for. Right. Because we all know that that there's no such thing as a silence here of perpetrators, and it is a boys' world in Washington and in many places, finance especially. It's awful. I mean, and this is what was needed to finally break this dam, and I think you know, it's going to be messy, but it's necessary and it has to happen. But I don't think politicians do themselves any favors by sort of sitting down, digging in, hoping it'll blow over. It's not going to blow over.
No, and you've seen a lot of them come forward and apologize and have their statements.
I'm sorry, I'm a dog.
I think that Nancy Pelosi's statement on Meet the Press was completely unacceptable, and I think that that's why she was then pushed to announce that he had to resign, and that's sort of the fallout that came from there. But I mean, it has to be a standard. If it's our, you know, Republicans, there's a standard, but it has to be when it's our party as well.
There is no doubt in my mind that when this finally shakes out, there will be plenty of people responsible on both sides. But we got to get to the fact that in the Constitution, James Madison wrote the Constitution, you cannot spend public money without it being publicly recorded.
And not only
how did this money get there, and who decided how it was dispensed?
But the congressmen were allowed to have a paid lawyer, and the women who were complaining had to afford a private attorney.
Pay for their own attorney.
You know, these were
$24,000 a year.
Yeah, these were 21-year-old girls sometimes that were just out of college. They don't have the money to pay for that.
And so then who sets up that process, right? So as much as the perpetrators are to blame, there are obviously a line of defense of leaders, I put in quotes, who are allowing it to happen. Right. Where were they? Where were they whistleblowing? Where were they saying, you know, no, we're not going to afford you a lawyer. You're going to have to deal with this on your own.
You know what they ought to do? There are professionals, there are professionals who do this for a living. They should bring somebody in from the outside and establish a fair and open process.
And Kirsten Gillibrand has a new bill that would completely reform that process and have it be more open and not have to go through this arbitration and go to work with this person you're accusing and have it be more transparent.
Well, here's what I don't understand, Chris, you know, is that, so Marsha Blackburn is a representative from Tennessee, D.C. She's putting a bill in that has maybe 2 co-sponsors to out everybody. The secret payments for harassment claims. There's been more than 200 so far, amounting to more than 17 millions of taxpayer money being paid out since 1995. How come, the Republicans in Congress, including Speaker Ryan, just doesn't say, hey, guess what? Today, here are the files.
Hey, listen,
here they are. Here's the files. Here's everybody. Here's the money we spent.
The Republicans are just as guilty, if not more so. I'm just doing it because we only have Democratic congressmen, unfortunately, on our side, who have enjoyed over time, well-deserved or not, the support of women's groups, women's rights groups, universally. They all have 100% ratings, including Rosa DeLauro and all these others, and they've been silent.
They were late to the party.
I just want to make one point about that. I think there's one problem with that concept of just throwing open the files, which is in some cases the women don't want to be publicly identified.
They can be protected,
right? And they should have that. They should have that choice.
Dollar money,
but the rest of it should
be the member that paid it out.
Yes, absolutely.
And let him explain what the problem is.
Here's a list of the names since 95 of all the members of Congress who paid out money for sexual
Absolutely.
And let's go back to another thing. The House banking and post office scandal in the 1990s, okay? There were more Democrats called on it, but that's only because there were more Democrats in Congress. But John Rowland had check problems. Gageson had real check problems. I mean, the point was it finally got out there, but these conspiracies of power is what we're talking about. And it's just amazing it's taken us this long to get to that breaking point.
It's ironic that our Congress, where laws are made, they're so far behind the times on some of these issues. They need to get into the 21st century.
By design.
I agree.
Yeah. When the Gingrich took control, the Republicans took control in 95, they had the contract with America, and a lot of the things they did pass. But the one thing that Gingrich could not get passed was the law that said any laws that this Congress makes, we will live by. Because there was such institutional resistance on both sides, even to the new Republicans, to do it. Oh, I don't want to do that. We're congressmen. We're doing the Lord's work here. We're doing the government's business. They were that.
Can I just ask a question? Who are you and where is the real Chris Healy today?
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding.
All right, guys, that will have to do it. Thank you for tuning in to Capitol Report After Hours. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Take care.
I'm always like that.